And now, an excerpt from the GBH website. Sir Killalot. How about losing some weight, fat boy?
On the 20th of February 1998,
a certain television show had made its way to the UK. The name of the show was Robot Wars, and it had hit the ground running. The first series had earned itself a healthy following of 4 million viewers after the end of its initial run, and the immediate success of the show didn't stop there. In the same year that the first series was aired, as well as the show being rerun soon after, a second series was about to be filmed during the summer of 1998. By then, a new audience of tinkerers, engineers and tech-savvy so-and-sos were made aware of the new sport that had beamed itself onto BBC screens.
We watched the show. It was on TV and we thought, that looks interesting, something different. So we watched it with my son and just enjoyed it. We watched it and we thought, why don't we do this? Or my son suggested, why don't you do one? And it's not something I'd ever done before, so no. I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, I could probably do that.
Oh, I saw Series 1, first show, and it's like, who didn't tell me about it?
Yeah.
And I was so annoyed. And in fact, I went into work, and it kind of brings on the whole story of the thing. I went to work, and there was another guy in there, Grant, who was later in the team, and he said, did you see that? Did you see it? I said, what? I know what you're talking about, Robot Wars. And it was like, what? And he told me, he said, why aren't you on that? And I said, oh, no one got in touch. I mean, how do you know these things? It's not, it wasn't so easy to hear about things. It's not like it comes up on Facebook like it would now. So I just saw the first or second show, and I thought it was absolutely mad.
I did do it, yeah, and I thought a lot of the robots were a bit pathetic in their performance. So I could do better, just pottering away in my garage.
How'd that work out?
Well, I did better than some, so I was sort of average, I would say. Although, if you read up anything about peace to resistance, it's all bad news. You know what I mean?
Instead of last year's 36 contestants, a much healthier-looking 72 made their way to London's Docklands to film the second series of Robot Wars. Would it have the same success as the first series? Well, obviously, because I wouldn't be making this video if it hadn't. To kickstart this new series, a seeding system was implemented for the very first time to reflect the performances of the previous series contestants. Seeded from 6 to 1 were the following robots: Chaos, built by George Francis, who had previously entered the first series with Robot the Bruce; Cassius, built by Rex Garrett, who participated with Recyclops in Series 1, Killatron by Richard Broad, Bodyhammer by Robin Herrick, Mortis by Rob Knight, and the reigning champions, Roadblock by the Bodmin Community College. Among the returning presenters were Philippa Forrester and Jonathan Pierce on commentary, but rather unsurprisingly, Jeremy Clarkson was not returning for the series. While one would assume it would be about the incident regarding dead metal and a circular saw, it actually wasn't about that. As his replacement, Robot Wars would hire the man who would become the host for the entire classic series, Red Dwarf star Craig Charles.
Of course it's safe, come in! Come on, come in!
While Jeremy Clarkson definitely had a wit to him that would serve him better in other television series, Craig Charles' enthusiasm and genuine interest in the contestants made him a mainstay in the series. I would even argue that you can't even have Robot Wars without Craig Charles. In my opinion, they are both intrinsically linked, but that's just me. Sorry, Dara. Just like the last series, the format was a gauntlet, trial and arena affair, but instead of the winner going to the grand final, due to there being 12 heats instead of 6, the winners of each heat would go on to a series semi-final, and 2 of each of those semi-finalists would go on to the series grand final. and those full robots would fight each other in a bog-standard arena style. But that's a very, very long way to where we are right now. But before we begin with the summarising of Robot Wars The Second Wars, we must once again introduce ourselves to the House Robot.
Shucks! The big bully bulldozer is back once again, and this time instead of an axe crashing down at 1 mile an hour, it can hit its opponent at 2 miles an hour. Technology is fantastic. Matilda, the matriarch of mayhem, returns for another stint in chainsaw tailing and tusk flipping, and this time she can shoot sparks out of her eyes. She is fucking terrifying. Sergeant Bash, robot combat's answer to McCarthyism, makes its return to the arena, complete with flamethrower and absolutely fucking useless sword. You know for a fact he's gonna rain hellfire on any opponent with absolutely terrible armor, which is about 80% of the contestants. And Dead Metal, our trans icon, complete with claws and circular saw, she's ready to give Android 16 a run for his money.
Yet another fighter you could have saved.
But there's one more. A new addition to the House Robot lexicon. The Alan Sugar of Robot Wars. The deadly, the terrifying Sir Killalot. Holy fucking shit. This bastard is huge. He's got a drill that spins and a drill that doesn't spin. What the fuck even is that thing?
And that is the new generation of House Robots. I have nothing more to say regarding the pre-show. This is the summary of Robot Wars The Second Wars.
Rather unsurprisingly, the first episode of Series 2 of Robot Wars was in fact Heat A. In that first heat we are introduced to 6 new robots. Victor, Napalm, Pandemonium, Pièce de Resistance, Demolition Demon, and Caliban. And just like the first series, the Gauntlet and the Trials were the only thing standing in their way to fighting each other one-on-one. Our first robot to prove their mettle was Napalm, built by the Dartford Girls Grammar School team. You might remember them from the last series with their green turtle-like robot Detonator. This time, they're back with a brand new robot. Will they do better than last time? Well, there's only one way to find out.
3, 2, 1, activate.
And the 15-year-old girl's driving Napalm straight at the brick wall. David Crosby, the last time he was on the programme, did his nut! And there's Sir Killalot coming in round the back! He's mean! He's moody! He's magnificent! He's menacing! Napalm, one of the heavyweight robots, but look at that, a lightweight in the arms of Sir Killalot! And the chainsaws come off! That's the weaponry gone! 16 inches long it may be, but it's no opponent for Sir Killalot, and he could dominate Robot Wars. Napalm's driven in onto the tank track.
Now, you may have thought that this was a pretty bad run, but it did do better than Detonator, and you know what? Fucking kudos to them. Well done to Claire for driving that massive hunk of metal. Next up is Pandemonium, built by Pete Collier.
3, 2, 1, activate.
I wonder if they'll use those cold chisel spikes at the wall. Thinking twice about it. Good steering. Oh, taking on the circular saws. And caught by the saws, grinding hard. There goes the lifting spike. They're off the circular saws now. Now, can they get away from our squeezing ram rig? Waiting their time. Chris Loader once wore a plastic biking outfit, and it's gone through with the power of Thor's hammer! And they're through! Great run!
I don't know how they managed to do it, but fuck it, take the dub. And now for possibly my favourite robot of this heat. Pièce de Resistance, built by Colin Scott. And fun fact, Colin Scott still participates in robot events.
When you found out about Robot Wars and you rather naturally decided that you want to build your own robot, was this the first time that you tried something sort of radio controlled related, or had you done something similar to that before then?
More or less it was the first time. My brother used to dabble with radio-controlled cars and aeroplanes, but more or less it was my first time with anything radio-controlled. We went down for the auditions in this old abandoned warehouse.
Yeah.
And I think there were about 6 robots in a room waiting to go into the bigger room where the robots were running an obstacle course. So we waited his turn, and in the meantime, people were browsing each other's robots. And my friend Brian heard a comment saying, outside toilet technology, about my robot, which I was a bit miffed about at the time. But on the other hand, outside toilet technology tends to work.
It was the first robot to be shown in that series. And did you have a specific idea going into that design, or did you, or were you just sort of improvising and just going with whatever came to your mind first?
Yeah, exactly the latter. I improvised it. Whatever it's how I work today. Whatever I've got lying about in the shed, it goes on the robot. So I had an old microwave that didn't work, so I stripped that down. Put basically a wiper motor from a Mini on 4 corners, and a wiper motor from an Opel Manta. Not many of them on roads now.
No.
That was for the lifter, and basically I had the chassis and the motors, and then I had to build like a fiberglass body around that because it was such a weird shape.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
32-year-old Colin, the driver, a market stall worker. His sister Julie, wanting the snowplow to push anything out of the way. And Brian Newcomb, the third member of the team, once built a shed.
You've got toy tricycle wheels. Will you be able to get over the bricks on your toy tricycle wheels?
Yes, because I've got the shovel to lift the bricks out at way.
Well, the shed stood up, and so did the wall. I'm not too sure whether Fiesta Resistance will. Under the tusks of Matilda. And here comes Sir Killalot. And look at the power. And look at the bad mood. It's picked up like a piece of fluff. Piece de resistance. No resistance there. Surrender. And the hopes of Colin Scott left hanging by a thread.
I know we shit on this robot in this community, but goddamn, I love this thing more than God loves his children. Thank you, Colin, and thank you for continuing to be a great part of this community. Well, it seems pretty obvious that Pièce de Résistance is going out, so let's just enjoy the rest of the robots while we still can. Next up is Caliban.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
But to run the gauntlet, I don't think they're using the blade, they're using the flail. On the big drive chain there. Driving seems to be a bit of a problem though. They've lost their way. I think steering's a bit of a problem here. Daniel Bushnell and Martin Beckett at the controls. They're all over the place. Crashing, bumping, barging. Oh no! And now taking on Sir Killalot. The only weapon he has is that flail. There it goes. He's knocked off the 3-meter marker. Sir Killalot closes in though. Can he stop that flail? Flail rock and roll.
Cease.
Caliban dead and buried.
Oh my god. You're kidding, right? No, he's not! Pièce de Résistance lives! He lives! Thank you, Paste God! Thank you! After 2 good runs from Victor and Demolition Demon, Caliban was the first to go out of the competition, leaving the greatest robot of all time to fight another day. Never have I felt more of a sense of justice than I have watching this fucking episode of Robot Wars. The next round of the competition was the Trials. In this iteration of Robot Wars, the Trials had evolved. While old trials like football and sumo returned, the rest of the trials were all brand new. Included in the new list of trials for Series 2 were Joust, King of the Castle, Pinball, Skittles, and Tug of War. Skittles is somewhat self-explanatory. Use your robot to knock down as many barrels as possible. Tug of war consists of your robot being attached to dead metal by a chain and doing your best to make sure you don't fall into the pit. Joust is essentially the opposite of tug of war, where you are put into a pushing match with Matilda, and the furthest distance you achieve, the better. King of the Castle is pretty much sumo on crack. Instead of one robot the contestants have to deal with, they have to deal with two. And lastly, pinball is kind of like Skittles, but there's more things going on. And the more things you do or stuff you knock over, the higher your score is, and therefore the higher on the leaderboard you will get. Got that? Cool. For the first heat, the trials was Skittles. I'll let Craig do some talking, because I like this bit. He's a funny guy. Craig Charles is a funny guy.
Now, when you think of Skittles, you think of sweaty old men huddled in the corner of a pub, dribbling over warm beer. But our game of Skittles isn't like that. No. In our game of Skittles, each of our surviving robots has to knock down as many barrels as possible in the time allowed. The one that knocks down the least amount of barrels gets bowled out of the contest. So, let's get ready to shake, rattle, and bowl. Let the trials begin.
Napalm and Pandemonium both get 9 barrels down, Victor only got 4, and Demolition Demon managed to get 20. So all Colin Scott and Pièce de Resistance have to do is get a measly 4 barrels. Surely it's not that hard, right? Colin says it's turbocharged. Surely it must be a walk in the park.
Robot ears, stand by.
You mean to tell me that despite looking extremely wonky, you're fully functional?
Well, that's flexible, so it can wobble them out of place. Just so happy about it, and it's turbocharged now. That's extra.
And how have you achieved that in the couple of hours you've had?
Bigger batteries.
3, 2, 1, activate.
Turbocharged? Oh yeah. Well, let's see what power behind Pièce de Resistance with that snow plough. Raise, here we go. No power at all. That's no joke. And the barrels stay in place. And I think that's the best we're going to see from Pièce de Resistance. And the house robots simply toying Sir Killalot in the way. Flips it up and over Matilda. And that's the end.
Pièce de Resistance, come up to the platform. Colin Scott, Brian Newcomb, and Julie Scott. Well, that did not go at all well, did it?
Well, I thought with my shovel being up, I might have got a few top ones, but, never did.
It was a bit like Finland in the Eurovision Song Contest. 0 points.
Yeah, I agree.
Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, well done, guys. But look at this. Pièce de Resistance has become some sort of dreadful plaything for Killalot. Broiled boggle eyes. You will not be going to the ball. Cinders. Not a barrel of laughs for Pièce de Resistance. No barrels. They're out.
Even 4 barrels was too much for Pièce de Resistance. And the legend that is Colin Scott's machine is out. I want my goddamn money back. And now for the part of the show that everybody loves. The arena. And this time there are some changes. During the first series of Robot Wars, the arena was sectioned with 4 patrol areas, where the house robots sat and waited for robots to come in so that they could attack. While they were never called corner patrol zones in that series, they essentially were corner patrol zones. For this series, the entire outside of the arena is cordoned off by the house robots, resulting in the perimeter patrol zone, or PPZ. You go into that area and the house robots are free to attack you. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get to the first battle. Pandemonium versus Napalm.
1, activate.
And there, the dreadful pincer of Sir Killalot in the PPZ, the Perimeter Patrol Zone. Bossed by our own house robots. They don't want to go into that zone in the red and black. Here's Pandemonium circling, coming in with the front spike. That's dangerous driving there because Matilda's tusks are in the PPZ. And it's all over. That was Pandemonium.
Well, guys, come to the podium. Well, how do you feel about that?
Gutted. How's that? Pretty sad. 20 seconds and we're beaten up by a couple of girls. No offence.
But they never laid a glove on you. You got done in by the house robots.
To be fair, she has this habit of hurting herself, and she did that just then. What can we say?
Well, there you go, guys. You're through to the last battle. Yeah, you're feeling lucky?
We're feeling very lucky.
Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Lucky, lads.
And rather naturally, Victor versus Demolition Demon. Are you going to get sick of my voice yet?
The wedge-shaped demolition demon with its slow ground clearance against the higher Victor, coming flailing in against the armoured coating of demolition demon. Good start by Victor. But back comes the demolition demon at it, and Matilda and Shunt in there as well. Victor turns to go away and can't get away. In comes Matilda, backs away for another charge with those ferocious tusks. Now turns to bring in the chainsaw. Matilda hacks, slices. In comes the axe of Shunt on the demolition demon, but I don't think demolition's going to be axed in this one. I think they've done enough.
The demolition team, the Victor team, come up to the podium. Now listen, you were immobilised for most of that game. So the judges decided that the decision is gone. So the demolition demon team.
And here we are, the first heat final of Series 2. Demolition Demon versus Napalm. Will the Dartford Girls Grammar School win, or will it be the other people from Demolition Demon?
Qualify for the first of our series semi-finals of Robot Wars. Demolition Demon, the boys from Thomas Hardy School, and Napalm, the girls from Dartford Grammar. Napalm the heavier and the faster. There's that metal grinding disc though that could be damaging. On Napalm, don't forget the judges will vote on style, control, damage to your opponents and aggression. Teacher David Crosby getting involved. Matilda waits on the sidelines. That's good speed and good control by Napalm. Now coming in on the attack on Demolition Demon. Trying to get that grinding disc into play over the spikes. You see those two giant mandibles at the back. Big spider-like jaws. Napalm attacking Demolition Demon again. In comes Demolition Demon underneath, trying to get the wedge shape to effect and that big metal spike into play. Underneath, Napalm again. That's a good attack by Demolition Demon. In comes Dead Metal, one of the house robots, and there's the sergeant as well. Oh, and the girls have lost their petticoat, look, at the back of Napalm. They've suffered damage. Just about hanging on, that grid at the back. This is good work by Demolition Demon here, spinning, coming in on the attack. There's the big titanium fronted ram scoop though, on Napalm, taking damage in there from Shunt. Ram raiding its way through, and underneath now Demolition Demon. Can he get that grinding disc to play? Under 8 seconds to go, and they're away from the danger, but they were suspect there, Napalm. Couple of buffets from Demolition Demon. Goodness me, this is going to go very, very close. It goes to the judges, and there's hardly a lick of paint, a smear of oil between the two teams. Very close.
And it goes to the judges, but let's be honest, it's very obvious who won that fight. So let's just say it outright. Demolition...
Napalm!
Huh? Huh? Huh?
Well, the judges say that although you sustained an awful lot of damage, that was given to you by the house robots and that you were far more aggressive than Demolition Demon.
Yeah!
You just did sustain an awful lot of damage. Do you think your robot's going to be ready for the series semi-finals?
Yeah, we'll go and pick all the bits up and stick them back on again.
It did really well. Congratulations. Give them a round of applause. Well, from the show that's bigger than Roseanne's drawers, good night. God bless from Robot Wars.
So, by sheer judging hubris, the winner of the first heat of Series 2 was the Dartford Girls Grammar School machine, Napalm. Sure, that's fine, we still got 11 more heats to go.
Robot Wars, tomorrow, 6:45 on BBC Two.
CJC and the Robot Wars Retrospective is funded from a grant by nobody. This is purely a fan project. I do this because I love Robot Wars and I love robot combat, and I would very much like to be doing this for as long as I can. But if you want to make any single donations, my Ko-fi link is in the bio. The second heat of the series is probably one of the more important heats, due to the appearance of two teams that would go on to create their own legacies within the sport. Shane Howard and Brian Fountain with their robot Mace, and George Francis and Mick Cutter from the Robot the Bruce team returning with their brand new machine, Chaos. Chaos was powered by two Sinclair C5 motors and used custom-made speed controllers which gave it much more speed and acceleration compared to Robot the Bruce. Mace was powered by two wheelchair motors and had a lifting arm and a flail that spanned at 2000 RPM. Other notable robots in this heat, Leviathan, who was in the last series with Leebot, and Wheelosaurus. Look at this thing. Barmy. Mace and Chaos had no issues getting through the gauntlet. Wheelosaurus took a chunk out of Sergeant Bash's flamethrower in a David vs Goliath moment. Tantrum, no relation to the seems reasonable robotics machine, although I feel like that didn't need to be mentioned at all, also made it through with little issue. Leviathan, after having issues getting the robot moving in the pits, just about makes it, but Death Track, which looks like it weighed 1 kilo and nothing more, was eliminated, and nobody shed a single tear. Next up, the trials, and an interesting one too. This is tug of war. The competing robot has to try and pull against dead metal, and if they fail to do so, they will fall into the pit. A hazard that has absolutely no detractor in the 30-year history of this sport. None at all. First up, Tantrum.
Tantalizing, teetering, tottering, toppling, tantrum! Totaled!
Pathetic. Next up, Leviathan.
Activate. Leviathan next to take the strain against dead metal. From the Lee City Technical College. Levo. Hevo. And quite clearly, holding dead metal, gripping, pulling, and I think the judges will stop this, yes. They've beaten dead metal. Taking the strain. Surviving. Leviathan through.
Fucking fair play to them. After having a shit gauntlet run, this is actually quite impressive. Will Wheelosaurus fare nearly as well?
3, 2, 1. Activate.
So who are you backing for this one? Those wheels spinning. Ooh, that's a good pull though. Or dead metal at the top. I think he was toying with Wheelosaurus and Peter Gibson dead metal. One pull, yeah. Bye-bye.
I don't need to say anything. Mace's run was another good one, being the second to beat dead metal. But can Chaos top that?
We'll give it a good go.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Well, one of Mike Cutter's ambitions is to watch drag racing in the States. Dragging dead metal towards that pit. This is a battle of pride here, because Chaos is doing enough surely to go through anyway, but it wants dead metal in that pit. It wants dead metal submerged in the smoke. Can he pull dead metal in? Humiliation for the house robot. That's what they wanted. Made their day. Chaos victorious. Tantrum, though, eliminated.
Oh, this means you two are losing.
That means we've lost. Oh, it's time to go home then.
Beautiful. Amazing. The moment. Chaos successfully beats dead metal and tops the table in the trials, leaving Tantrum to pursue a career in boxing in China. I don't know. So that leaves 4 left. Mace, Leviathan, Chaos, and Wheelosaurus.
Our first semi-final, Mace against Leviathan.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Leviathan, the heavier and quicker of the two robots, using that snowplow-shaped scoop at the front. And now Matilda with a chainsaw. Leviathan stuck in there. It was poor control and driving to get into the BBZ in the first place. And judges will mark them down on that. Look at the chainsaw. Being pushed and bent. Put out of action. They've been scalped. Leviathan by Killalot. Coming in here. Matilda too. Leviathan tries to steer out and get away. Leviathan struggling really to hold on. You can see the chainsaw has come off the chain. Mace pushes. It goes to the judges. Very, very tight.
The judges have gone for Mace. Well done, lads. Well done.
Mace is through. Now, Chaos versus Wheelosaurus.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
Beauty and the Beast, David and Goliath. Ajax against Shed Charterhouse, perhaps. In on the attack again, Wheelosaurus flip, what we've seen before. It can recover from that. Torched by Sergeant Bash. In comes Matilda. And again, trying to cut those Victorian pram wheels apart. Meanwhile, Chaos is reveling in all this, look. Has to avoid dead metal. Nice pirouette and turn, balletic stuff from Chaos. Well, they're enjoying it. Staying out of danger, but dead metal's after you, Chaos. Into the PPZ. One blow, two blows. They're after Wheelosaurus, aren't they? There's the shunt cam. They're trying to get to the very brains of the beast. I think they're after revenge. Don't forget, Wheelosaurus caused major damage to Sergeant Bat. This is carnage. They're after blood and oil. Away goes Chaos again. Through the flames, hits the sidebars, bounces back. Squeezes out of the grip the pincers of dead metal. And again, just away. Time running out. Dead metal, dead metal's hurt.
Wheelosaurus, come up onto the podium. Chaos, come up onto the podium.
Chaos gets through, but nearly gets pushed out of the arena in the process. Let's hope something like that doesn't happen anytime soon. And now, the final of Heat B. The two best robots of this heat, and arguably of the series so far. Duking it out for a place in the series semi-finals, Chaos versus Mace.
3, 2, 1. Activate.
The Robot Wars veterans, Chaos against the newcomers from Mace. On the attack in the first place. Chaos spinning away. Chaos seeded 6th for the series. There's the dangerous blade, made from titanium. Good speed away from Mace by Chaos. Now turning again. Sort of jousting with each other, but Mace pushing Chaos into the house robots. That'll gain points because the action from Mace virtually immobilizing Chaos. Trying to get back to life, but they know they're in trouble, and that was because of the intervention of Mace in the first place. Chaos seems immobilized, and now the damage can start. The dreadful tattoo, the drumbeat of that awesome flail. 2,000 RPMs, churning. And now the house robots come in. Mace is there with the flail once again, so Kill-A-Lot here at the bottom of your picture. Shunt at the top. Mace goes for glory. They're pushing it around now like a ping pong ball into Matilda's tusks. Chaos immobilized. Well, risen from the dead it would seem. But has Chaos got enough time to come back? Now Matilda flips it on end. And the damage had been done by Mace in the first place.
The winner is Mace! Go on, Mace, take the podium! Well, guys, how do you feel about that?
Really amazed. They're far superior.
Are they really that superior?
Yeah.
So how come you won then?
Someone's helping me, I think.
Someone watching down on you?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, are you going to do any sort of refit for the series semi-finals or what?
Just give her an oil up and a couple of new plates. She's as good as she is.
Ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause! Well, when the Terminator sits down after finishing his chores, he has a Aston of pizza and he watches Robot Wars. Good night.
Chaos is defeated, shockingly, by Mace. George Francis's nippy, house robot beating machine is out. Our next heat is Heat C, where we have As the Smart Price Biohazard, Multicolored Wedge number 45,263, Series 1 Veterans Dreadnought, whatever the fuck this thing is meant to be, Challenger, which I'll admit looks kinda cool, and Mortis. Will Rob Knight be saying that's bullshit again? Let's find out. Challenger does a pretty pathetic 5.3 meters. Mortis completes it and tries to kill Shunt and Matilda before dumping into the pit.
Oblivion gets pitted thanks to a very stylish tusk flip, but gets slightly further than Challenger at 5.8 meters. Dreadnought, somehow, slalomed its way to the end zone to go through. Ramesses II nearly flipped himself over lifting a couple of bricks, and Griffin, quite surprisingly, goes out. And the As the Smart Price Biohazard is the first to be defeated in this heat. All jokes aside, I genuinely do enjoy Griffin a lot, and looking back on this I was genuinely shocked to see it go out early. And Oliver Steeples was kind enough to share photos of Cunning Clan as recently as 2022. And a little fun fact for you, he's the first ever champion of the Antweight World Series, with a robot called Odyssey. He'd also win 2 times more with that machine as well, so yeah, he's a legend. Put some respect on Oliver. Our next machine to take the plunge from the competition was Challenger, which means, somehow, Ramesses II is through to the arena round. Fun fact, Ramesses II is one of, if not the first robot to use high-density polyethylene for their armour, which is a very popular material that is still widely used in combat robots to this day. So Ramesses II are trailblazers. Somehow. And now, the arena.
3, 2, 1. Oblivion is the lighter and the faster. Dreadnought has those fearsome forks. And no mobility, it would seem. There's something wrong here with Dreadnought, I'm sure. Impaled on the spike. Can they get off there now, though? Must have been the spike that stopped them. No, they're not moving. Dreadnought! There's something wrong here with Dreadnought! And the house robot sends it there, Sir Kill-A-Lot! Also in there is Shunt. And that's Roast Beetle. And I tell you who loves Roast Beetle. Matilda. Tasty. Matilda in on Dreadnought, lifting it away from the flaming pit. Sir Kill-A-Lot, there's the kill cam, lifting up. Oh, that's really good. A lift on Dreadnought, in comes the axe. Dreadnought here in terminal decline and incline. Impaled, the body shell ripped away. It's only a question of time, and there's little Oblivion, totally unharmed. Dreadnought can't move. That was ghastly! And surely they know it! They do. It's all over.
I do love that really good line from JP there. That's a classic, that's a classic.
Tell me who's up there.
My daughter's up there. She's in tears.
Your daughter's in the audience in tears. Oh, she's really upset.
Now, Mortis versus that thing.
Sir Kill-A-Lot, you've just seen grotesquely keeping hold of his scalp from Dreadnought. Ramesses II is in trouble. They're queuing up to destroy him, the house robots. And Sir Kill-A-Lot turns towards the flaming pit. And I wonder whether this will be a barbecue for Ramesses II, surely out. The Mortis boys aren't happy, I can tell you. They're not happy, but I think Mortis are going through. They may have problems, but it's burnout for Ramesses.
What a surprise, Mortis won.
And I love the audacity they had to complain about their batteries going. Like, come on, man, read the room.
Mortis and Oblivion left, with the Mortis team, rather unsurprisingly, not happy about their drive having problems. Will they be able to beat their demons and make their way to the series semi-finals?
Mortis, the second favourite for the whole of this Robot Wars competition, against Oblivion, whose major hope is to avoid that blade. Not doing a good job, the boys there. And perhaps drag Mortis towards the PPZ, the perimeter patrol zone in the house robots. Certainly, the Cambridge University students have the upper hand with the weaponry. Perfection. Perforation. Oh, look at that. It's like a sieve. Heading towards Oblivion. Could be now. Rob Knight, a man in control of Mortis again. Wants to say a big thank you to the engineering department of Cambridge University. This will be a good way to say thank you. Oblivion looking tired. Could be in the pit with the tyres. Did you see Matilda just waiting there at the top of the picture? Waiting her chance. Oblivion trying to run away into the corners. Don't forget this final though. Judged on style, control, damage and aggression. Holy smoke. It looks like the end for Oblivion here. Mortis being pushed back now. A brave battle by the boys from Trinity School. Their robot only cost £700. Mortis cost 10 grand, and he's the favourite, and probably has done just about enough to win this heat final.
And Mortis is the clear winner.
They've finally done it. Heat winners. No passive aggression, no saying that's bullshit in the control booths. Mortis was the actual, proper winner of this heat. 3 heats down and now we're at Heat D. And a very important heat to mention because it would introduce robot combat to possibly the most important and significant robot the UK has ever produced. Ian Lewis and Simon Scott's part bird, part reptile, Razor. Running on the motors and batteries of a golf caddy and boasting a crushing power of 9 tons at the tip of its weapon, Razor would become an unequivocal fan favourite.
That's the sort of shape the head for, anyway, the size of it. And then the arm comes out bigger. Really quite proud of this bit because I've managed to squeeze so much small, so much electronics, all the speedo stuff, into this little tiny space.
First from Bournemouth, Razor.
A lethal scorpion-tailed robot, and that tail can crush with the pressure of 9 tons. It can turn in tight corners, it's nippy, it's driven by 2 golf caddy motors, and this can make a few holes in one.
And not only that, but another fan favourite would make its debut in this heat too. Anthony Pritchard's scooping menace, Behemoth, who is still, in the year of our Lord 2025, participating in events. One of the goats of the UK robot combat scene. Bodyhammer, the runner-up from the first series of Robot Wars, is another notable robot in this heat, sporting a brand new paint job and a new driver in 14-year-old David Gribble. And Millie Bug is in there too. After a very interesting series of gauntlet runs, which included Razor pushing and crushing Shunt with its beak to the end zone, and Mullet and Bug getting their hair torched a la Michael Jackson in that Pepsi advert.
The fringe! Singed!
The first to leave the robotic morsel coil in metaphorical tears was surprisingly Bodyhammer. And the robot that would put it beyond survival was Elvis, the king of rock and roll. Next, the trials, and this time, robotic soccer. Razor gets the first goal after Dead Metal does a Rob Green and fumbles it into the net, with Behemoth scoring next, along with Inquisitor, and somehow Elvis getting the last goal, leaving Millie Bug with its singed fringe out of the competition. And once again, the arena. Razor now has an opportunity to really show its 9-ton hydraulic power, and its first fight is against Minnow's Inquisitor.
If we don't get mechanical breakdown, I mean, because it can happen to anyone, we can have electronics trouble or hydraulics or anything, but if it runs, if it keeps going, yeah, we're flattened. There's absolutely no worries.
And Razor, look at this! The favourite for tonight's heat! Destroying Inquisitor straight away with that immense crushing arm. Well, they've given up, I think, Inquisitor boys. Keith Millwood and Gavin Hatton, again, ominously, curling down, bending, destroying. Even the Sir Killalot camera moves away, worried. There's Matilda to the left. Well, Inquisitor, I think they've got no chance now. They think they've got no chance now, but what's this? Suddenly, it's alive again, Inquisitor's off! Yes, yes, run away! And Razor's in problems. I don't think Razor can move. I think they've broken down. I wouldn't come back in again. The Razor boys look worried. Leave it to the house robots. Matilda in there and Sir Killalot too. And suddenly it's Razor. Goodness me, Razor's toppled. What a turn up. They're attacking the soft, vulnerable underbelly. Razor can't move.
Cease.
And Razor is out. What a turn up. It's on fire. This is unbelievable! Inquisitor's gone through!
Well, that's right. For such a long time, it looked like you had it, didn't it?
Yeah, no idea. Something's gone down.
That metal claw was still crushing them.
Yeah. Oh, we've got full control, but no drive, just gone.
You were one of the favourites as well. I mean, this is a serious upset. The Inquisitor team, yes!
We got mullered.
We got completely mullered in there, yeah. We thought, oh, we're dead, we're dead.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I said, have you got any power? And he went, yeah. Run.
Go for it.
And get out the way.
And basically you just ran away there and sort of kept out of danger, didn't you?
Yeah.
Big rebuild job, though.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, give them a round of applause.
Well, they lived life on the razor's edge. How the mighty have fallen.
Razor, against all odds, crashed out after what was looking like an easy victory for them. Ian Lewis and Simon Scott look on and think about what the hell just happened. Why wouldn't you? Behemoth and Elvis ended pretty simply, with Behemoth dominating the fight and smothering the king in the PPZ, leaving Inquisitor left to fight Behemoth for a place in the series semi-finals. Will they cause another upset and do the double? Well, of course not. Behemoth marks its place into the series semi-finals in the wake of Razor's unlikely fallout, and the UK audiences were left to wonder, how the fuck did that even happen? The next heat's winner, and another seed this time, was Killertron, who apparently sported an orange livery instead of last year's pink, but you wouldn't really know with that lighting in the fucking arena. Fun fact about Killertron, Richard Broad is the father of Japan travel YouTuber Chris Broad, otherwise known as Abroad in Japan. An even funner fact, Chris made an appearance in Robot Wars during a future series that we will not dare to mention until we are at that point in time, thank you very much. Heat F sported a few more interesting machines, one of which being Corporal Punishment, driven by Adam Clark, who we'd see a few times throughout the series, and was also in the first series with Vector of Armageddon. Ron, which looks like something out of the Choro Q series, maybe a bit of a deep cut, but I don't care, and Panic Attack, built and driven by Kim Davies, the spider-like livery of which was designed by a Year 7 pupil at the school that teammate Kevin Pritchard was a teacher at.
Yeah, that was mainly Kevin's idea. I think he came up with the name. We had lots of names, but we didn't like any of them. And so he put a competition together in school just to see what made people panic. And I think there was a young girl, she'd come up with a spider. So we thought, yeah, that's quite good.
Yeah.
So that's where it came from.
That kid must have been mortified to see it getting whacked by Shunt's axe in the gauntlet.
Kim Davies and the team had raised money for the St. David's Foundation prior to the competition.
We decided just to raise money for, it was a charity because my father hadn't long passed away. And we decided for the St. David's Foundation, we just raised money. We'd raised all the money we were going to raise before we even got to the competition. And so it wasn't dependent on how far we went.
Yeah.
We just thought we'd use it as a tool just to raise money.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I the idea of like, oh, what if we fuck up in the first round? We're not going to give any money to it.
Yeah, that did cross our minds. So, we'd raised all the money. Yeah,
cool, awesome.
While Kim Davies' gauntlet run wasn't the best, its sumo run would be much better form for the team, leaving Shunt off the ring and its metaphorical ego broken.
Oh, in comes Shunt to try and spin it away. And Shunt goes instead!
And their arena fights with Whirling Dervish and Disruptor proved that Panic Attack was a robot that other competitors had something to panic about. The series was now at its halfway point, with 6 robots already booking their place in the series semi-final. But despite the stacked lineup that would have already made it through, there was still more iconic machines to come. Well, iconic machines and Hardvarg. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait for those heats, because this episode of the Robot Wars Retrospective is split into 2 parts. Mainly because Vegas won't handle a 1 hour and 20 minute video. But I promise you, the next episode will not take nearly as long to make. Stay tuned.